Hello and welcome back to Scatterbrook Farm Garden Designs. Hope you're all well. Those of you who went along to Phoebe's stream tonight, good bit of fun. Really good stream. She did a tour around lots of gardens tonight, around lots of farms. I was really impressed in some of the gardens that people have done. Obviously I can't remember all the names, but there was a few of them there that went around the town and onto their farms and just showing off their designs, and I'm really impressed. Really impressed. It's lots of variety on each of the farms and that lot, their own little designs and that. Really good. They couple of people wanted to know, could I do a design, an entrance design, a bit like the one that I've got there. Could I do a grand entrance going up to the farmhouse? So that'll be one of my designs up and coming. Okay, now this video that I'm doing at the moment, I want to just explain something. A few people have said about the scaling of the game. The actual scale of the size of things that are actually on the game. Now, I knew that this question would come up at some stage. Why are some things bigger than, bigger than others and they don't fit in? I'll give you an example when I say with scaling, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the word scaling. When I first went onto this game on Heyday, and I started to design around the farmhouse, I started to realise that the farmhouse wasn't really very big. And it didn't really in keep with the designs that I was doing. And I'm thinking some of the stuff that I'm putting up against the house and around the house is actually bigger than the house. Now I don't know whether, when Heyday first brought out the game and they look back at it now and think, perhaps the house is a little bit too small. It's just one of those things. It's a virtual game. You've got to expect these things, nothing's going to be perfect. But, you've got the house there. You've got that lady and the man there stood outside the house twirling her umbrella. Now you can just imagine with those two there, if they were to walk into that house, you take that lady for argument's sake. Now she walks up to that house, steps up onto the boards and goes to walk in the house. The first thing she's going to do is going to smack her nut straight on the top of that, second floor. She's going to knock herself clean out. So you've got to look at it. If that's the people that you're getting on your farm, that's the size of the people that there are, then obviously the house is too small. There's a bit of banging going on because I've got a dog in the window in one end and the hamster climbing up the cage in the other. Yeah, so you've got to look at it. Are the people too big? Or is the house too small? So you look at it again when you scale. You look at the truck. Now, that man that stood there, would he get into that truck? Would he fit in that truck? Probably squeezing in. You just about get in. The motorbike. Now, if he sat on that motorbike, would he look too small for the motorbike? Is the bike a bit too big? Then look at the motorbike to the truck. Almost the same size as the truck. And then you look at the motorbike to the house, and it's nearly up to that level of the second floor. So I think that the house is definitely too small. I mean, the three things on the farm that I think are undersized are the house, the barn, and the silo. For example, you've got the silo. Okay, now up against the silo, you've got a hay cart that you push along. Now, that hay cart, look, is halfway up that silo. So if you imagine how big a silo is in real life, and that cart is halfway up the silo, you've got to be a giant to actually push that cart. You zoom out, and you can see it's halfway up that cart. So there's no way that one of those would be able to push that cart. It's little things like that, things are not quite to scale. Now, if the barn and the silo were a bigger size, and the cart would all look in place, it would all fit into scale. You've got the creamery. Now, the creamery looks almost the same size as a two-tier second floor farmhouse. So I just think that it's the farmhouse, the barn and the silo is just a little bit on the small size. As you can look at the overall farm, there's a lot of things that are almost the same size as the barn and the silo. With the hay bales, you see. Now the hay bales in the right place look perfect. Forget the barn and the silo. Those hay bales up against the tractor and in that bay, they look the right size. But when you go back to the barn, a normal barn could hold probably 50, 60 or 100. Here's the reset again. Still not fixed. A barn could hold, say, 50 or 60 hay bales. Well, if you look at that barn and look at those hay bales, you probably get 3 in there at the most. The chickens. Now look at the one chicken there at the bottom of that coop. Now, when it's time to go in, I know they don't go in, but you've got to look at it in real term. That chicken to go in that coop, he's going to spend 2.5 months trying to get his backside through that hole. You get his head in, and then eventually when he squeezed himself into there, there's enough room in there for him and him only, and there's 5 others to get in. It's how you look at it. It's a game. Come on, it's a game. You're not going to get everything absolutely spot on. But certainly the scaling of things, I'll move on to it in a minute. I'll show you a few examples and how to get around it. My bench that I got there in the diamond package, I thought that looked nice there up against the tea table. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, it's a lovely bench, but at the end of the day, you've got a big wooden back panel that when you sit on the bale and you sit back and rest your back on it. And then I thought to myself, well, how do they connect that piece of wood to a bale? Because a bale is only straw. So how have they attached that piece of wood to the... I look at things like that. I don't know, it's a bit strange, but, I look at the realistic side of things. And I think to myself, is that 2 pieces of stakes and they've hit it into the floor and then put the bale against it? But anyway, I do look at different things on the game and look over things. There's a crate there. Right, we're going to win on the crate to start with. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Great. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few of the items that you can get as deco, and just give you a little rundown and a little summary of some of the pieces of deco that you get that are oversized and undersized. So, with the benches. Now, the normal benches in the game is that little brown bench that you've got there, second one up from the front. You've got the candy bench. You've also got the Valentine's bench, and you've got the swinging bench. Now, when you look at these items, you've got to imagine in real time I know you're looking from above and looking down on it. With everything that you look at, you're coming from a height and looking down. But you can almost imagine the size of person that would be sat on that bench in real time. Okay. So, if I had this motel, which I've got here, which I've got the other Valentine's bench there. Now, if I'd have put the small brown bench, the normal one, against that wall, or against that wood panelling, it would look too small. It would look really, really small up against it. So I've used the big bench up against there, and when you zoom out, it now looks to scale. It looks as though it fits in there perfect. It doesn't look too big. It don't look too small. It looks perfect. There's a little wooden bench there next to the telephone box. Now, if I use the big bench, like a Valentine's bench, it's bigger than that bench. So then what it would do then is it would probably be halfway up the telephone box, and then it wouldn't look right because it would make the telephone box look really, really small. But having the small bench by the big telephone box, when you zoom out, it looks to scale. It looks exactly right. Same with the hotel there, you see. Big hotel, and when you put stuff up against it, it actually looks scaled. It looks perfect. The stuff that's at the front goes with it. It doesn't look too big. It doesn't look too small. It all looks scaled. All goes together. Move across to the house, and all of a sudden, look how small that house becomes. Look how small that house is. And I think, if there was a way that they could upscale the farmhouse, get it bigger, then everything else would fit, not, without a problem. So that's the benches. Now, again, if I get this bench now and put in front of the swimming pool there, let's put a little bit of a gap. Okay, so if you can imagine those two that are waiting by the truck, if they're one of those are sat on that bench, that's about the right size. So they're there swinging on the bench, and then they want to go and have a swim. Now, look at the size of that swimming pool to the size of person that would sit on these benches. They would stand on that springboard there, and they would take 2 bounces to jump in, and they'd end up in this pond because it's just too small. It's so small. You've got a garden gnome there. Now, he can't even get into that rubber ring. You see the rubber ring there? He wouldn't even be able to get that round him. And that's a garden gnome. All garden gnomes are really, really small that sit as statues in the garden. You take this bird bath. Take the blue around the top where the water is. Now, if I put that to there, 4 of those circles would go in there. So basically, 4 of those bird baths is your swimming pool. I know it looks as though I'm going to the extreme and that, but I'm just giving you an idea of when you put stuff out, you've got to put it in the right places so that it actually looks to scale. Again, you've got the washboard there. Okay. Now, if you get that with the sewing machine, which looks nice, then you look at the little bench in front of the sewing machine, tiny little bench. All of a sudden, that washboard and tub full of water overpowers it. It doesn't go together. Which I thought at the beginning, it goes nice together. But if I was to put that at the back, okay, like that now, the sewing machine comes to the forefront, and now all of a sudden that washboard and that looks a little bit smaller because you're seeing more of the sewing machine than you are of the tub. So when you zoom out now, it doesn't look as big. The sewing machine comes to the forefront, and that is behind. Even if you moved it behind just to the side there, the more you start to come towards the front with that washboard, the more it looks out of place. You've got the bird bath. Okay, so there's the bird bath. There's the table in a little garden. Now, you've got that design there in your garden. You can imagine now somebody sitting at the bench, and they've got sitting at the table, And to actually look at the birds on the bird bath or look into the bird bath, they've got to climb up, stand on the tablecloth so that they're tall enough to see into the bird bath. So the bird bath should be somewhere in the height of that washboard, you know, so that it fits into scale. So if you imagine that bird bath now is by that pond, okay, look how tall that looks against the pond. So against the table. So what you do is you can blend it and you take off the height. Now you probably think, well, how can you take the height off of it? So if you're doing a country garden and you've got the table there, let's just move this out the way a minute. You've got that there. Okay, let's move that. And your table is there. Now, what you do is you get some flowers. Don't matter what flowers you use, but just one either side and that one there. And you put the table in the front of the garden. Okay. Now, straight away, by having the table at the front, okay, brings it to the full front and makes it look bigger. And by covering the base of the bird bath, okay, even though it isn't shorter, it makes it look shorter so that when you zoom out and you zoom out to there, it doesn't look as bad because what you've done is you've blended it. So it just takes it. I mean, we've got a garden. Let me quickly just take you to Jono's. Now he's got a bee design with those in. Now, see his bee design, each side, look, you see he's got a bird bath. And what he's done, what we've got him to do, is put the flowers around and in front, which takes off the height. So when you zoom out now, those bird baths sit in there nice and low. They don't look out of place and they're blended. You see? So that's another little tip that you can do is cover the base of things to make it look smaller. There's another little one here with a fire. Now, you've got some logs there in front of the fire. Now, you look at the fire in real time and the logs, and you'll look at that fire and think, oh God, those logs are bigger than the fire. They're much bigger than the fire. You know, because the fire is behind, the logs look bigger than the fire and it looks out of proportion. You see? When you zoom out, the fire looks really tiny and the logs look big. If you get the fire and you put the logs behind the fire, or there, or anywhere behind the fire, so let's keep it there for now. Okay, now what happens is the fire now becomes bigger. And the logs, because they're at the back, become smaller. So if you were to put, I don't know, let's just put that there. Just takes the edge off, just the edge off of them slightly. And you've got another one just there, just to take the focus away from those big logs. Now all of a sudden, those logs now look perfect to go on that fire. Right? They don't there. They look too big. See how all of a sudden it's changed. The fire looks small, the logs look big. Put the logs to there, just the edge, just covering the edge. Now you've got the big fire and it looks like there's small logs to go on there, like kindling wood. So it's all about displaying it, where to put things to make them fit and how they look. Beautiful designs that Heyday, you know, the developers and that lot and the designers and that make all these things. You can't fault it. I mean, they're absolutely stunningly beautiful designs. But I mean, if I was to go across now and let's say I moved the motorbike, okay? So I'm going to take the motorbike all the way across here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this plant pot. Now, a plant pot, you know, will probably come up halfway up the front door, you know, with a little plant in there, a little plant pot. Now, if I put that outside the front door, okay, the pot itself comes to the second level of the house, and the flower itself is level with the bedroom window. Then look at the people next to the flower pot. Now, if they want to put a flower in there, how are they going to get up to the pot to put the flower in? She's having a look, look. There, that gives you an idea, look. Look at the height of her, level with that pot. Now, if she wants to put something in there, a flower, how's she going to do it? It's things like that. So if that pot was scaled down and made smaller, it would go in. It would go perfect. So I just think some of the designs, some of the structures that people have, you know, the heyday have made, even though they are beautiful, beautiful products, they just need to look a little bit more into the size of things and what they, you know, what they should look like. I mean, you know, a tiny little pond there, baby little pond. It's the same size as a swimming pool, you know? But you wouldn't get somebody get a diving board and dive into that pond. It's things like that, you know. You got the push bike there, look. You know, the daffodils are taller, nearly as tall as the bike. If things were scaled, you know, to a decent size, then things would look really, really good. Really, really good. You're probably looking at this video, watching this video and think, God, isn't he fussy? Isn't he? But it's, as a designer, you will pick up on these things. You will notice these things. You know, when you're trying to get the best out of a garden. You know, I haven't used any deco like that in these type of gardens. You know, I've used stuff that's like really scaled. So like the bee design there, everything there is scaled. So it looks as though in real life it all goes, it all fits. Nothing looks bigger, nothing looks smaller. Same with there, with the motel, with the flowers around there. It all looks scaled. Same with the graveyard, you see. The gravestones up against the statue. Now, if those gravestones were the same size as the statue, it wouldn't look right. It just wouldn't happen. But so they're all scaled beautifully, all the right sizes. So there are some lots of deco that are the correct size, that scaled it perfect, you know. But there is some deco, I've got to admit myself, it's just a little bit silly on how they've got things, you know, the sizes. All the machines, they're all sort of scaled out roughly the same size, so they all go. All the trees and bushes and things like that, they're all perfect. You know, you got the small fruit trees there up against the multicolored trees along the back there, a little avenue. You know, the small trees show off the big trees, and the big trees show off the small trees, and you get that beautiful, beautiful effect. Same with the horse area there. You know, the barrels in the back there by the tractor. Use the trees there to cover certain areas that look bigger than what they should do. Again, I've got the hay cart there. Now, if it's out in the open, it's as tall as the tractor. At the front, it would be as tall as the tractor, and you'd think, well, it's like I said, you need to be a giant to push it. But if you zoom out, where I've got it incorporated in amongst the bales, it doesn't look as big. And that's purely because I blended it within the rest. Again, there's another idea with the bench there, you see. Now, it's a small bench, and just tucking it in amongst that woodland area there, as you zoom out, it actually looks perfect to size. You see, it looks, you know, goes with the path and the hedge and the stables. Everything looks in proportion. It's all scaled nice. So there is lots and lots of stuff that is scaled. Really, really good. Like the horse jumps, you know. If you look at the size of those horses, that's about right with the jumps. You know, you can just see them. You can see it. It's just the right size. There's the horse there, look, and you can see. Because there's got to be a bit of height with the horse jumps. But you can see it. It's just right. And I've just put a bit of water there for the water jump. But it's just a few items in the game. I've just pulled out a few there. Phoebe might notice them there in the live stream. And I said it was for a video that I was doing. So those few people that have said, you know, they're a little bit not OCD, but they can't handle the fact that things are bigger than something in real life. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, that bird bath there. You know, it sits twice as high as the picnic table, and they look at that and think, oh, I can't have that, and they get rid of it. And they don't use it. But if you use it in certain places in the right way, you can still use those pieces of deco. But I can see where you're coming from when you say that certain things are scaled wrong. I absolutely 100% agree with you guys. And the other piece of deco that we had in the diamond package was these crocuses. Very, very nice. If you zoom right in, you've got that beautiful vibrant purple. You know, the colours will stand out close up, but when you zoom out to about there, they all clash. There's no vibrant colours, and it just looks a little bit, you know, if you were to put the fire, if you were to get this fire, where am I? Where's there? You know, if you were to get the fire and put that fire by there, when you zoom out, it almost looks like it's the ash from the fire scraped up off the floor and scattered all behind. All just grey and alright when you zoom in, probably to about there maximum. But crocuses have always, you know, they're a very vibrant flower. Perhaps I, you know, just needed to just up the colour tone just a little bit more so they really stand out. So that's just a few little things that you can try, you know, if you want to add, if you like the deco. I mean, lots of you, you know, might love the swimming pool, but certainly I won't have the swimming pool in my town because it's absolutely way out of tone, you know, way out of scale. I mean, another thing that you can do, you know, if you do like the swimming pool and you don't want it to look so small, you know, you could go into slabs. Choose your slabs. Put a row of slabs all the way around like this. All the way around. Now, even though that the swimming pool hasn't changed in size at all, just by adding those slabs around, that just gives it that feeling of it. Just feels that it's a little bit larger, a little bit bigger, because you put a few slabs around. You know, and the same again with the, let's put this away, this bit. So, you know, that's the garden that you've got there. So you've got the table just there, or there. You've got the bird bath there. Put that there. Put the flower out there. And put that there. If it'll go there. So it all just sort of blends together. You know, we could have a little row of these. And put the other one that side there like that. So just by blending there, you see, now the bench looks fine. And you've got the bird table, the bird bath there with the bench in the background. And you just, you know, it doesn't look so prominent now, the bird bath. But what it does do, you see, is it shows how small the swimming pool is with the bird bath there, because the actual bird bath where the birds go into is almost nearly the same size as a swimming pool. But the bird bath you can get away with. Like I said, I showed you on Jono's farm. You know, you put it in the right place, you can really, you know, make it stand out and make it look, you know, not as big as what it really is. But certainly this swimming pool, it's, I think when they designed it, I think they designed it for dwarfs or ants or something, I don't know. But there you go. I haven't really done, I put the blackberry bush now around the outside of my, around outside of here. I got a new lot just gone in down there. This is going to be my new little area down here with a design going in here. This is just to show you guys with scaling. Yeah, I haven't really done a lot. I put the bench there. That went into there. The peonies there I put around there, the pink flowers. Oh, that was just to fill up that space. Got my animals still down there. And that there, that's all done. I better put my sewing machine back in its place. It's all done. I don't use the edit mode. It's all done by dragging it across. You watch it jump. There he is. That fits back in there, and then the flower can go back in. Where is he? Put that back across there. So my next design, I think it was Laura that asked for it. She wanted to know if I could do a design on the entrance. So this area here, going up to the farmhouse. Because to be absolutely honest, when people go onto your farm, that's the first thing that they're going to see is the entrance. They go to your shop, you get that sort of shot there. And they go onto your farm, they sort of get that sort of shot there. So I'll do a design for Laura and for you guys, just a really nice design with stuff either side of the road. So a lovely grand entrance going up to the farmhouse. But again, you see, if you put anything big going up to the farmhouse, you've got to be a little bit careful what you put in, because then it starts making the farmhouse look even smaller than what it is. But that's for another day. That's for another day. So, like I said, the only fault that I can see really with the game, if you can call it a fault, it's not the design itself, because it's beautiful. It's just the size of the house, the barn, the silo, and a couple of pieces of deco. And I think we've worked around how to sort of scale it down a little bit by doing little tips and tricks that cover things. And let me know what you think in the comments. It's probably a dead boring video for you, this one. You're probably looking at it and thinking, oh, that was a waste of a cup of coffee. I don't know. There will be another designing video coming up. Probably going to do a live video for you. So lots to look forward to. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, share with all your friends. Don't forget, the link for Phoebe's stream will be in the comments. So it's been sort of quite a longish video, but me waffling on more than anything else about the scale of things. But I just wanted to just talk about it, because a few viewers have mentioned it to me. So I thought I'd give my input to it and, you know, see if there's any ways around it. But certainly the actual swimming pool there is an absolute no-no. That's probably the worst scaled design on the game. But everything else you can work around. Okay, so until the next time, enjoy the rest of the videos. Let your friends know. Don't forget, hit the subscribe so you get all the notifications of all the up and coming videos. So until the next time, Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.